I would like, I'm very honored to be here because it gives me immense pleasure to know the two graduates. Basically, one from Manchester, another one from my own university, Coventry, are starting their own business. And I'm very, very proud to be a part of this function, our function, and I wish them all the best. Balaji, I know him for the past probably a couple of years when he came and met us, and I know I came to know about him from the faculty in the university, how sincere and hardworking he was. And I'm very, very sure with his commitment, with his exposure and his experience from the university, he is sure to achieve more. And I think many more laurels are going to come through. And I would like to ask Balaji to include services like accommodation and probably like the opportunities available in this portfolio, which will definitely help new students going through, because there are a lot of students looking for catered and non-catered accommodations and they don't know where to go by. Probably if we can include those things in the portfolio, that would be of immense value. And it's a competitive industry, and I'm very sure he will be successful because the advantage that he will have is his exposure and experience there. I know the way that he learned things there, and I think that will definitely help him. And he has got a very good name there and a reputation there in the university. And the faculties are also going to be there to help him and assist him. We have also promised him full support in all his ventures, and we will be there because he is our own student and we want him to do well and establish himself in the market. And the Coventry University in the office will definitely do its best to support him in all possible ways. And it's a great venture, I think, and the way that they came and met me, and I was very happy actually, because instead of looking out for opportunities around, these two guys have taken up the resolve to start their own businesses, stand up on their own leg, and I'm sure they will achieve. It's just going to be the starting block for them, and I wish them all the best, and I'm sure they will definitely do well, and we will be there to support them and back them, and I'm sure you all will support them in all possible ways. But all the best.
Thank you for your speech. Now it gives me great pleasure to invite our chief guest, Dr. C.B. Paul Jalagoma, Group Chairman of Campus Abroad, to please address the audience.
Congratulate. Start of the evening, Balaji, I wish him as well as his partner all the best. To share my experience or just be present here. Let me thank the panel. And to join the gentlemen on the dais, the friends who are here. It's a wonderful evening. The occasion doesn't seem to be a launching, it looks like an anniversary function. And also it gets a lot of recognition. We have with us the presence of a secretary here, and we have Vice President AAOE and present from Ms. Mala from US Consulate. What a wonderful presence. Since the time I was invited to preside over or to be the chief guest, I've been wondering whether the industry needs one more consultant. To be clear on the scenario, around 200,000 students go abroad every year, out of which 20 to 25% of these students are covered by the consultant. At national level, we have around 4,000, approximately 4,000 consultants. Unfortunately, 10 to 15% are genuine and professional. That is the scenario here. In order to take the profile of the industry, I would like to state the recent entry of the India's #1 English daily, which entered the industry for this counseling and consultancy, especially on overseas education. Times of India last year opened up a lot of offices in India, especially in the field. They started representing overseas universities. On a question, why should Indian students go up? That is, this question has been asked to me several times by media as well as students and parents. To quote a recent one, I could say, 2 days ago I read the newspaper, only 10% of the graduates, students graduating, only 10% are employable. To go further in the detail, 4.5 lakh students are taking IIT entrance. I don't know how many of you know how many percent enter IIT, only 2% are entering. The other unfortunate situation is out of the 2%, if you say 9,000 students are entering IIT to become engineers, they are not becoming engineers. Most of them switch over to some other areas. If you go to the management side, IIM, they conduct entrance test, CAT test. 200,000 students almost take the entrance test. Only 1% get in. What about the rest? So what about the 98% of those take the entrance for IIT? They don't get seat there. That doesn't mean India does not have quality education here. But where would they go? The problem here is the supply does not meet the demand. Last year, if my memory is right, that the employable students number was only 4%. Now it's a welcome sign, it has gone up to 10%, but especially the graduate students, probably it has been given by the statistics by the government, but I have no idea whether how far over a period of 1 year it could raise that much level. That is the situation, that is the reason why one should go out. I normally call it a springboard. A person who studies here at whatever the level, maybe post-graduation, if he could take up his profile at national level, this is something that he gets a qualification from the country, but if he wants to get an international recognition, he needs to go out to a well-recognized studies, university, well-recognized university to get a well-recognized qualification. Gone are the days the students are interested or they are happy to have a qualification or a title, but this is the situation from where they get the alma mater that matters. I was quoting about 10% of the students genuine. That doesn't mean that, there are some people think that every institution abroad is a very quality-oriented institution, that is the best one. It is not. As we have some of the ill-reputed universities overseas, also they have some of the universities, but they do have ranking system in various things. Students ought to do their homework and go. I normally quote some of our leaders who went abroad. We are not, consultant interested or will be happy to send the students abroad to stay there. Most of the students are interested to stay behind, but our intention, let them go and get quality education, come back and prove themselves here for various things to come up in their life, in their career. I normally quote our national leader, the late Mahatma Gandhi, for this case, because he went abroad to study, but for the exposure he got overseas, I am very sure he would not have become a leader to lead the country, get the freedom for the country. To go further, probably I could quote the late Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and one more reason, maybe Dr. Ambedkar. They all went. What people get mostly, it is not the title that, especially South India, it used to be dominated by the dowry system, that students, especially when they go abroad, their market rate goes up. that is gone now. It is entirely depending on one's own background and how they cope up with the studies, how they become successful. If you take an example of a living person, I could say Dr. Manmohan Singh, our Prime Minister, he is not popular just because he is the Prime Minister. He was already popular as an economist. The person who was recognized as well as who is an alumni of two top universities, Oxford and Cambridge. If you take industrialists, for example, I think in today's newspaper, right, Mukesh Ambani is the top Indian, richest Indian as well as one of the richest people in the world. Does he need to go abroad to study? He went abroad to study. He should have studied here. Or he doesn't need to go abroad to study for next 10 generations. He has enough money. The other person I was recently impressed, Cyrus Mistry, the LBS postgraduate, who has taken charge of the entire Tata Group. I believe that the person at this young age taking over charge of a big empire worth around 600,000 crores. How could he manage? That is what? The exposure, the experience, the quality education. He studied one of the top schools in the world. I could give a list. If you take that, for example, our Tamil Nadu, we have a TVS group. They don't need to have gone abroad to study to none of the top schools to run the organization. It has been in order. Everything has been in order. Mrs. Malaya Srinivasan was inducted into the board. Recently that happened 2 years ago. But she went abroad to gain knowledge and get proper exposure. Learning others' culture is very, very important, as well as getting more exposure. For example, I could say that the government of India normally sends some of the civil service people, IAS, abroad to get some exposure, especially for a management degree. It happened 15 years ago. One of the IAS officers was sent on a 1-month sponsored program, sponsored by Tamil Nadu government. After he went, 3 months after that, his wife went there to see him and be with him for a couple of weeks. She went and came back. What she said was, somebody asked him, how is it going and how is your husband, what is he doing, what does the course teach him? He said the course taught him to be on his own leg. I was surprised to see him washing his own clothes and sweeping his own room, making up his own room. He never dusted here. So that type of thing, it is not only the academic thing, but it teaches in every angle of life for one to come up in life. I am pleased that 2 partners, director of this thing, they have got very good exposure in order to share their experience and exposure to students. That is what we need. I call it first-hand knowledge and first-hand information. It's easy for them to get it in the shoes of the student who is interested. Please believe me, the students come to a counselor or a consultant with great expectations, that with a great hope, like a patient goes to a doctor. And we hold, the counselors hold responsible for the future in the career. If anything goes wrong with that, we will become certainly responsible, because student is not going to realize immediately. He will blame you after 10 years. That I was misguided by these people. They were very happy to state that I am in my 34th year. But I've been getting students. I started serving already 3rd generation. When somebody comes and tells me, I was referred by my uncle who lives in the US, he told me to meet you for my studies abroad. That is how it has to be. Consultant and counselors are different. Consultant is there are a lot of consultants in the world for various areas, but consultants, especially education consultants, ought to be very careful, and more than the consultants, counselors ought to be happy, because when they counsel somebody, they become responsible. They are expected to counsel without any hidden agenda. As an association in the US, it's called Independent American Educational Counselors. The first condition is you are not supposed to represent anybody. I was the member early days. I had to resign. I submitted my resignation when I started representing university. The condition was that the counseling should not be biased. I am coming back to my question. Does the industry need one more counselor? Yes. The industry needs a professional counselor, ethical counselor. I am very, very sure Balaji and Arun fit in there very much with their exposure. I'm not sure how they live there. I'm not sure how much of money their parents have sent to them. I'll be very happy if they have been lived within the budget, because that's most important. They have a long way to go. I am very, very confident. I was listening to their marketing strategies. I'll tell you, you need more patience. And we are, as I clearly said, out of 200,000 students, the industry does not cover even 20% or 25%. So it's like an ocean. So you are there forever, as long as you get into the good books of parents and students. You need to have a lot of patience. I know you will be having for a early stage. You will definitely have, and in order to support them as well as congratulate them and recognize them, I request Mr. Vijay Nair, our Vice President AAOE, to join me in presenting him the certificate, a member of AAOE, please. Get over here. I need to give him another honor. Can I request Mr. Sabesian, Secretary Eric, I just present this pin to these two gentlemen, which stands for unity and integrity. It's the label of AAOE. Can I request you, sir?
Excuse me.
You are welcome to the industry, the wonderful membership of AAOE. As a matter of fact, this membership is given to those who are in the industry for a minimum of 3 years. But you are exempted, as per the bylaw, for a simple reason: both of you have done your post-graduation abroad. Let me take this opportunity to thank you all for your patience and wish these two gentlemen a wonderful future and a successful career.
Thank you, sir, for your inspirational and informative speech. I, on behalf of Spatikam and the entire team gathered here, today extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. C.B. Paul Chalakumar, Group Chairman of Campus Abroad, and to the respected guest of honor, Mr. Jayaraj Thakkavil, Chairman of SP Group, Mr. T.N. Ramachandran, Director of Operations, Coventry University Office, Chennai, and Mr. S.N. Jayamurugan, Chairman cum Managing Director of S&J Distillers and Breweries Private Limited, for gracing this auspicious event and sharing with us your findings and opinions today. Again, a big thank you to Dr. C.B. Paul Challagoma, Group Chairman of Campus Abroad, for his inspirational speech. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to our honorable guest speaker, Mr. T.N. Ramachandran, Director of Operations, Coventry University Office, Chennai, for his speech. I express our sincere thanks to the media for giving us an excellent coverage of our inaugural function. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests on the dais, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels start rolling weeks ago. It requires planning and a bird's eye for detail. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated personnel of Spatika. Let me thank one and all who were involved in making this event a success. We thank you all for being with us this evening. It has been a great pleasure. Thank you all very much. Please join us for dinner.
Thank you.